The way that police states work is it's not enough to have, let's say, a corrupt prosecutor who is trying to get Trump, because the prosecutor cannot operate alone. The prosecutor needs the cooperation, the assent of an equally corrupt, ideologically motivated judge. And here is a case of this. You have Jack Smith, the special counsel, going to an Obama-appointed judge. This is the chief judge of the D.C. federal court. And this is Judge Beryl Howell. And Jack Smith goes, I not only want to curate all of Trump's tweets, which, by the way, are out there, you could do that, but I now want to make a compilation. I want to do surveillance. I want to compile an extensive list of every time Trump retweeted something. If he tried to tweet something and then deleted it, I want to capture a screenshot of that. And I want a full inventory of everyone who liked one of Trump's tweets. This is, of course, in the regime before, it overlaps with Elon Musk's purchase of X. And now this is something that is not obvious that it should be granted. There are certain specified conditions in the law in which you can have this kind of order. And not only did Jack Smith want an order to do all this, he wanted a non-disclosure order, which means that the judge signs off on the fact that X is not only forced to turn this stuff over, but it cannot tell Trump. It cannot tell Trump that they're doing this. He's the defendant, but it's like a secret order. Now, let's think first just about the sheer preposterousness of this. Why are you collecting the names of people who like Trump's tweets, if not to create a database of kind of enemies of the state? Can you think of any other motive? Well, I can. I guess Jack Smith's motive was, I kind of want to get an overall picture of whether Trump is inciting. But you don't need the people liking Trump's tweets. You just have to look at Trump's tweets themselves. Is he inciting anyone to do anything? Well, let's see what the tweet says. Trump is not even responsible for who likes or doesn't like or retweets him. And yet here's Jack Smith. And you can see what his real motive clearly appears to be. Let's get a MAGA list here. And then we'll have a nice group of people that not only because ultimately these documents do become and can become public, there will be a very nice database for Democrats to be able to go over. Maybe not even me, but other prosecutors. Now, to get this non-disclosure order, you have to satisfy some conditions. Like, why would you not tell the defendant you're doing this? Apparently, judges grant these orders based on some potential harms. One is endangering the life or physical safety of an individual. That's obviously not involved here. Destruction or tampering with evidence. That's obviously not involved here. Nothing is being destroyed or tampered with. Intimidation of potential witnesses. That doesn't apply here either. Liking a Trump tweet or retweeting it is not intimidating anybody. Somehow jeopardizing an investigation. That's not involved here. And so the only other condition, the only other reason to keep this secret, to not reveal it until now, is Trump is a flight risk. In other words, you don't tell the defendant because the defendant might be plotting to flee. And guess what? Jack Smith intimated that Trump may be plotting to flee. Flee what? Flee the country? What? And the judge, Judge Beryl Howell, agreed Trump is a flight risk. Now, again, this is so crazy that subsequently, later, the Justice Department and the judge tried to clean up this part by going back into the record with footnotes and basically saying, no, we didn't really think he was a flight risk. We didn't really mean to say that. And the reason for that is just because you've created a record which is prima facie absurd. And of course, vulnerable to appeal. It goes to an appellate court and they look, Trump is a flight risk. That was the rationale for granting this. And you basically go, you had no right to do that. So now they're going back to say, well, that was not the reason. Well, if that was not the reason, what was the reason? Where's the other reason among the criteria I just mentioned? And the answer is there really isn't any. So this is really pernicious police state stuff. There's a kind of the point I make in the film, and I think this is important for us to realize, is it's all covered in the facade of law, right? The guy files a motion, Jack Smith does, and then Judge Beryl Howell signs off on it, and then there is a warrant that's presented to Twitter, and Twitter resists, to its credit, but Twitter is then overruled by the judge. Twitter appeals, and then an appellate court, also democratically dominated by Democratic appointees, sustains the judge, Beryl Howell, and forces Twitter to turn over this data, fines Twitter, in fact, for delaying in doing it. So this is the way in which the police state exercises naked brutality, but naked brutality kind of covered up or veiled with the facade, with the pretense of following the dictates of the law.